Happy 4th of July, everybody. We have prepared for you a Festool Live Best of series. And the reason I'm here today is to remind you July 6th at 11:59 is the cutoff time to sign up for the newest MyFestool sweepstakes. In the description below is all the details. Hey, have a safe 4th of July, everybody.
Now I'm going to select the Panther blade. Now, I'm going to rip this. Oh man, I forgot the thickness on this. I think it's about 32 millimeter. Yep, 32 millimeter. Hey, this is cabinet grade. I'm just kidding. 32 millimeter. All right. So I'm going to set it up. Now, I'm going to change the blade. And once again, when you're changing the blade, make sure the batteries are off. I'm going to take my outside splinter guard off like this. Okay? And I'm going to put it in fast fix. 3 things happen when it's in fast fix. Okay? You open it up. Okay? It locks the blade down. It locks the arbor shaft. And you ready? It also locks the switch in case you didn't take the batteries off. Okay. Inside the handle here, you have that wonderful 5 millimeter hex key. And you just spin the blade off. And this is the 42 tooth blade that comes with it. I'm going to spin that off. I'm going to get the flange nut off as well. Oh, look at this. This is no longer a riving knife. You see how it sets back? Now, when you look at this, I'm going to get hopefully you can get a visual on this. See, it doesn't line up. And you see how there's a notch in the shoe here? And I'm going to see if we can get a visual this way. It doesn't line up whatsoever with the blade. This is no longer a riving knife. It's an anti-kickback stop. That rides on the rail. Where a typical or our older style cordless track saw, let me take the batteries off so you guys can see this. The riving knife is right in line. Okay? And that's the 2.2 millimeter curve. Now this is important when I explain why we have the anti-kickback stop. The riving knife was to prevent kickbacks for case hardened wood. You know when you take a board that's been kiln dried too quick, the board splays like this sometimes as you're cutting it, or it goes like this and pinches it. With a new, so the riving knife would keep the kerf open. Okay, but the majority of the time we've seen kickbacks. Okay, and I'm going to put this new Panther blade on. Is usually, and I hate saying this, is usually user error in the saw, not because of the wood. And by the way, I am that user. Okay, and I already explained why earlier. Hopefully you caught it. Wasn't that easy how to change a blade? My goodness. Okay, so I'm going to take it like this. You remember earlier I said, and you probably have rails like this, okay, in your shop if you've experienced this type of kickback. It's when you start right here and you didn't check the depth and you didn't check it, so you started it right here. And this is where you have kickback. Now that could be a dangerous situation because it comes back on you like this. The other reason you have kickback is when you plunge in the middle of the board and you're not using a limit stop. And a limit stop goes on the rail here, so when you plunge in, like say in the middle of that piece of plywood, it keeps it from lifting like this as you plunge in. A lot of people don't know what a limit stop is, and the reason I wanted to point this out is later this summer I'm going to be talking about plunge cutting with the 55s and also with the 75. I have a whole segment on plunge cutting. Okay? There's a lot of myths out there on it. I want to show you the exact setup on it on Festool Live. So, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set a quick depth. I'm going to check just like this to see my depth. That's about where I want it. Okay? Now, somebody asked me already because of the posting we did early in the week. In North America, there's only going to be an imperial version of it. I just wanted to point that out. My new fact checker. Okay. So, let me explain how, and I'm not going to do kickback today. Okay, I don't want to scare Chris on the camera. But what I want to do is I want you to see this. come in here, Chris, so you can see this. You see how this is riding on the rail? So as I start the saw and plunge, okay, and I get that movement back, as soon as that makes contact or releases contact on the surface it's resting on, it'll stop automatically. Now here's the nice thing. It fully resets itself. It doesn't damage the blade whatsoever. You could cut within a couple of seconds afterwards because it sets itself right away. But the other thing to remember, it's not the same flesh sensing technology as SawStop. It's electronics and a mechanical combined with that little stop right there. Now, there is a defeat on it, or you can turn it off. And I'll show you that when you turn it off. And why would somebody want to turn it off? Well, so say you're cutting off the rail, okay, and you're cutting some hardwood floor, and you encounter, as you're cutting on the hardwood floor, a register opening, right? An HVAC opening. That little stop will lose contact and shut it off, and you don't want that, so you can turn it off if you want. So guess what? Let's get it cutting. And I wanted to make a rip because I also want to show you how there's no deflection on this when I'm cutting angles on hardwood. Okay. Chris, what are you supposed to remind me of? Yeah, baby. I swear that's not my bag, baby. Okay, good. You like that, don't you, Vinny? You behave. All right. Okay. Hopefully you guys all can figure out how much fun we have doing these. Okay, so I'm going to check to see, right? Now, what I'm going to do is, Chris, come over here if you can. Look, when I have it like this, you see where it says Kickback Stop? That means it's working. Okay, now, if I want to turn it off, it turns red. Okay, now there's something else I want to show you. I'm just going to see, now it's on again. Okay, it automatically resets itself. This whole system's a no-brainer. But here's the other one. Say, look, I'm cutting like this, right? Okay, see how that's not on anything right now? And I have to start it like this. Chris, I want you to see this really quick. Come over here so you can see this. When I start it, okay, as soon as, see how it blinked? Now it's engaged. You didn't see it? Okay, I'll do it again. Look. Oh, see how that's orange? Yep. As soon as that lift makes contact, I'm still engaged. I don't want you to say it's been defeated or turned off or anything. It's just that has to make contact with it. Right. And it's a combination of plunging and a little bit of jolting and that disconnecting from the rail. And man, it's a great system for you, okay? Once again, at Festool, we're always thinking about your safety, okay? So maybe I can't say a raise the hands, but usually in class I used to say, hey, how many people have had kickback and because of this or have marks on their rails? And usually 5, 6, 7 guys would do that, right? The raise your hand. You know what I always say? When that happened, that blade was pretty much up in there, up in the housing when it snapped on you. What's the first thing you did? And everybody would go, oh, check to see if I'm okay. You know what I usually do? Even though I'm by myself here, I usually look around to see if anybody saw me do it. Okay, never mind. Okay, I'm going to check right now. Let's make the cut. And I want you to notice how this is going through it like butter. Okay? That thin curve really makes a substantial difference. And there you go. Always remember to go all the way through and bring it up full speed. And look at that cut, everybody. That's the perfect straight line rip. And as always, because of the MMC, there's no burning. When you go to a thinner curve, you stand a chance of deflection, right? So I got to hand it to everybody over in Germany with these new blades because I want to show you this cut. And I'm also going to teach you not a trick, but something I learned early on, even before I started with Festool, is how to properly hold the saw to make an angled cut. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to release it right here and right here on the trunnion. I'm going to tilt it up and I'm going to bring it to 45. Okay, I'm going to tighten these knobs right here on the trunnion. Okay, but look what my hand is. Okay, so I used to see people make cuts like this all the time. Okay, look at this. See how this is coming off the rail? Okay, so if you, and this is what I always want you to check when you're making an angled cut, okay, is it should be a very fine point. If you're ending up like this with a flat spot, it's because this is tilting. Okay, just put your hand down on there. Okay, I just want to check my depth. I set this up earlier, and I'm going to make the cut. Now, there is something I did a little bit different. Now, I used to make that cut with the TSE and the TS55. Look at this, look at this. Look at this, unbelievable. Look at this cut. That was effortless. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check this because that's at 45. And Chris, I want you to come in here. Look at this. It's exactly 45. Look at this offcut. I'm going to bring it up here. Let's get a light to it. Look at that. Absolutely. Get behind me over here, Chris. Look at that. Absolutely perfect 45. So this saw, think about it. That's, what did I say, 32 millimeters thick? This is perfect for waterfalling, everybody. So there you go. I just wanted to point that out. No deflection in that blade. It's a laser cut. Oh. Check it out. Look at this. Splinter free. Did that come through? Did you hear, Chris? Nice cut. Now you're going to notice on here, it's 1.8 and the riving knife is now 1.8. So that was the big difference. So we got the question 2 weeks ago. Somebody asked us, hey, can I use like the old saw blades on there? In theory, yes, but why would you? Because that will go into the curve. Follow me? So, but it's slower. Just get the new blades. They're so much faster. Now, I'm just going to double check these two knobs right here. Okay, and I'm going to turn them so they're tight. And then I'll slowly back them away so there's no lateral tolerance. That's what you do when you cut the splinter gad. I'm going to take the saw now, get it hooked up. And remember, when you put that plug-it cord in there, it's a full quarter turn. Let me just lock this fitting on. Get a shot of that, Chris. What is it? 14.29. Amazing. It is, and I was blown away when I started using that thin curved blade. Night and day difference. It's 50% faster. So I'm that type of person. When I see a statistic, I gotta try it to actually verify it. And I'm going to tell you right now, when I saw 25% less dust, I said, okay, I took the bag, which I don't have out right now, and I emptied the bag once, and this is the one I got with the old saw, so you can see it. Okay, now this one, this is how I verified it. I don't know if it's 25%, but this is with the new saw, and you can see the difference. There's less dust. Okay, so I thought that was a good visual for everybody. I was kind of like, well, that's kind of cool. All right, so hey, we got the right statistics. All right. Everybody follow that? I'm hoping. All right. Now, let's look at these blades. And they're color-coded. The blade that now comes with the TS55 FEQ is a 42-tooth blade, alternating top bevel, but there's a different chip in there. Have another one like this. Okay, but on the new blade, we also have a tooth that is like this, and it's basically a triple chip grind, but it actually has got a better point to it, so you're going to get a nice clean curve in there. It actually stabilizes the blade. So I wanted to show you that. Now, when we go through the blades, so I want to concentrate on the new saw, but there's a lot of times when somebody says, hey, my saw's a little sluggish when I'm ripping hardwood. Guess what? You should switch to a less teeth in the curved blade. So we've always had ripping blades. We call them the Panther blade. I'm going to switch it out in a few minutes. But here we go. That's your Panther blade. We have that. Okay. Then if you want one in between the 42-tooth blade and the new blade, this is the 28-tooth blade. tip blade, tooth blade. You can see, because it says it right there, 28. Hey, Mo! Okay, now, not to get confusing, but this one here is the green blade, and that is for cementatious products. You guys know this product. We use it all the time. It's a Hardy board, okay, cap composite material like that. It's got concrete cement in the middle. That's fantastic. It's a 4-tooth blade, polycrystalline tipped. And now we can capture the dust in the dust extraction. Now, here's the little bit of confusing part. And we've always said the red blade is for plastic. It says laminate, but I still use it. It's a triple chip grind. I still use it for plastic, but thinner material. Okay? This one is, and it's finally back in our arsenal. It is an aluminum blade. You can cut non-ferrous metals. Big difference between ferrous and non-ferrous, but it's easy just to cut aluminum with it and say aluminum, but non-ferrous metals. But it also says plastics, and that's for thicker plastics. And I will cover that right now. So we got an aluminum cutting blade or non-ferrous blade in our arsenal now. Actually, I better take it like this. And okay, aluminum. Okay, I always take it and I bring my depth set past 1 inch. I put fast fix in. 3 things happen. It locks the blade down, it locks the arbor shaft, and it locks, look, in case I didn't take the plug-it cord, it locks that off. But I always take it off. Right here, stored right in the handle, is a 5mm hex key, and I'm just going to spin it off, just like this. Minnie, you paying attention? Because I got to have you change some blades for me after lunch. Okay, so look, I'm going to take my riving knife, go like this. How simple is that? Look, 42 tooth. You can see it right there. And you can see that little, see how it's alternating top bevel? And there's that triple chip right there. I'm going to bring this in for aluminum. Bring it in. That has 2 little nibs right there. How quick was that?
You were talking. I thought you were not done.
Oh, I'm not done. Chris, thanks. Man, I got tons of critics in here tonight. I'm almost finished. I thought you weren't done. Okay, so I'm going to take it like this. I'm going to spin it on. Boy, tough room today, gang. Okay, I'm finished. How long?
If we cut out top time, it was about 30 seconds.
Oh, so talk time was probably 5 minutes? Okay, stop it. Come on, man, I got a tough room today, men. Okay, so I'm going to take that. I know the material thickness I'm going to cut. I'm going to store that back here. So we're going to cut some aluminum. Now, this will help everybody. I'm going to bring it right over here. I'm just going to cut this little piece of aluminum extrusion. All right. That carbide on there is very hard. Somebody asked me one time, I cut some aluminum. I didn't mean to with the blade that came with the track saw. It actually cut it, and I said, well, that's good, but it won't last as long if you cut with that blade. So I'm just going to take that. I'm going to hook this up and get this out of the way. Oh, move it around. Woo! Get this hooked up again. Now, I want to coach you on a few things. Chris, I think you can come around here to get a good shot of this. This is your variable speed. And somebody will always ask, why variable speed? Well, the thicker I'm just going to leave it on like between 6 and 5 for this. But if you are cutting thicker aluminum, slow it down a little. Okay? Same thing with plastics. Slow it down a little. Okay? The thicker the material. But you're going to see how this just cuts right like butter through there. So I'm going to take that, double check my depth. I'm actually going to bring this so I don't get all that dust. See how I push it down to the material that I'm going to cut? And then I'll tighten it. That way that little pad out there on the outside splinter guard blocks a lot of the dust from going forward. That way there I don't get it on Sparky. Okay, Spark, here we go. Now, I also want to, boy, that cut way fast. The other thing I want to coach you on is this. This right here, you should take a little bit of sandpaper and deburr it, okay? So always, because look, see those little burrs? Always deburr that like that. That pocket stick fix is really good for that. Okay, and same thing with this piece right here. I'm doing that so when Chris cleans up, he doesn't hurt himself on that burr. Got it? Aluminum cutting blade. It is what? Blue. We color code everything. Now, that transfers to Capex blades. That transfers to jigsaw blades. We color code everything. Okay, so here we go again. I'm going to take that, right? And I'm going to grab the red blade. You stay right there, Chris. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, let's get the red blade in there. Sparky, how we doing on time? Good? Okay. Let's do this again, man. Tell me when you're ready. Yeah. Don't try this. Take your time. Whoopsie. Got it in fast fix. There we go. Abalok. I always got to line up those nibs. There we go. It's always in front of people that you slip. Hey, what's everybody doing this weekend? Time. 35. See, he was right. Impressive. Did you catch that? Did everybody hear that? The unit said impressive. Okay, good. On this one, I'm going to take it to about 5. It's a little bit thicker, but I want you to see how clean this cut is with this blade. It's amazing. So a lot of times I always coach people cutting on a table saw, cutting plastics. It's a nightmare because it just melts as you cut it. Slow it down. You're cutting a lot of plastic, slow the saw down. And that's why this track saw is a winner. Look at that. Look at how clean that cut is. Check this out. But look at this. Look how clean this cut is. Absolutely perfect. So I wanted to make sure you saw that, how quick it is to change the blade. Okay, and I got one more blade change. So remember this. You're going through some thick material. That 42 tooth, because of the thin kerf, works great. Let me put this down so Chris doesn't hurt himself. But I'm just going to take the saw over here. I'm going to change it right over here. I'm going to grab my blade. I love this Panther blade because, boy, this thing is like butter through this cherry. I got this, and I believe it's 31 mil. Let me just double check. 30 millimeter. Okay, hang on a second. That transfers to, I think, close to 1.25 inches. Yeah, 1.25 inches. Lock it down, 3 things happen. What? It locks down a position, it locks the ABBA shaft, and it turns off the power. So I'll just take that, spin it off. I really like how this 5mm wrench stores right on board. So that saves you a bit of time. You don't have to go find that wrench in the case you threw away. Take that off. Put this back on. Just like this. Always remember the writing and the color is facing you. It's an easy way to understand the rotation. The rotation is right here, so you can cut. You know that's the way it's gonna spin. Put this right back on here. And the nice thing, and I bet you guys don't know this. Well, you probably do, because I've probably taught you. In the old days, not all of them, but we had 3 blades that were 2.2 and a couple that were 2.4 or 2.6. So we had some thicker blades. So it was really confusing, and then we made them all the same. And now all these blades are 1.8, which is wicked cool. So there you go. Big D, I was talking again. Okay, that's funny. I'm going to set the depth. See how I have it on the rail? I'll bring it down. I'll make sure that I have the right depth. Yep, I'll be cutting through. I'll just say, hey, look, 1.25 inches. I'll go a click or 2 below. I have it all set up. Now I'm going to take my splinter guide. I'm going to bring it down. Now I've been cutting 1/2 inch, 3/4. That outside splinter guard is still going to be good because I'm actually going to cut through it a little bit further. But when I go back to 3/4, then I'll put on a new splinter guard. And a rule of thumb I always do is the thickest I've ever cut, I write on the splinter guard because it lasts a long time. Woo! Oh, stay right there, everybody. I'm going to go get my dust port. Because I'm using a different dust extractor. Let me test it, see if it's working. God, I love Bluetooth. Okay, I'm going to line up those arrows, put it together, twist it on, lock it on, plug it cord, double check, slop is out, take it like this. Now, remember I was showing you how to cut forward of the material or start forward of the material? On plywood, it probably wouldn't happen, but on hardwood, you have grain. And if I started that blade and plunged into here, it would give me a little jolt, possibly kickback. So that's why we always coach everybody. Make sure you start forward of the material. And I'm just going to verify that. Doing too much at once. Let's get that on there. There we go. There we go. Woo! Okay, so this is where I'm saying my blade's going to start forward of that board. Always start at full speed. I'll bring it up to 6. And look how quick that is. And look at the quality of cut you get from there. No burning, no nothing. It's just so nice. So, oh my God. I just looked at the board. Hopefully, I covered everything I needed to cover about the new track saw. Oh. You might have a bunch of accessories that work with your older track saw and you want to upgrade. Guess what? All the accessories work. Now, depth. Oh, wait till you guys see this. Chris, come over here so we can set the depth. This is 18 millimeter, right? Or 3/4. The cursor's new. It's not a push and like I taught you before. It's a pinch and you can move it up. And it's a dual cursor where you reduce parallax, and you'll see where it says FS, right? Always think when it says FS, that means on the guide rail. So always calculate it to the thickness of your material. And oh my God, what's this? And that's 3/4 right there. I could set it just like that. Look, because you have the dual scale. What I like to do is just take a quick rule or a compound or a combination square, and I can just go across like this, and I can set that. But you have two. Now this bottom line is actually the full depth of cut off of the guide rail. So that's just something I like to point out. The FS means the guide rail, and it's on all our guide rails. It means something, I think, in German. I just think it means Festool Sedge. Okay, so there you go, and you have the two scales. You have imperial and you have metric. I've always used metric. I love metric. It makes it easy for myself. So that's how you do it. And also, once again, we have a micro adjust right here. Big D, can you get that? You got a micro adjust, and once again, on the very top, you know this, that is a 5 millimeter recess, so I can dial it in like this with the wrench that comes with it. All right, so that's really nice. Now, it's the little things, okay? Watch. See these knobs? They've been redesigned. I don't know what it is. They're just more ergonomic. They're easier to twist, easier to get at. And when I look at this, I'm just going to twist them like this so we can look at setting bevels. Well, what I'm going to do first is what I always do, right? Is I have access to these knobs. You know what those do, right? Let's look at it really quick. Okay, it's the cam system, okay, to knock out the slop on the guide rail. So I'm just going to take it like this. And to get to it, look how it's recessed in here. This whole sole has been re-engineered. And I just tighten it up like this, and I just back it off, and I grab it here to check if there's any slop. Now, while I have it here, hopefully we can all see this from whatever angle, Big D and Chris. We have some green pads on here so you can see. Here's the cursor. It goes from 0 to 45. Okay, now, if I want to go to 47, there's a little, and I could snap that and it goes to 47, or you could set it at 46. And I always tighten it here and set it up. So you have a positive stop at 45, 47 when you press this button. And then when I bring it down, look at this, it says -1. You see how there's a hard stop on the steel right there? And back here. We got all of that in there, guys? Okay? Watch, if I take it, I push it, you'll hear it. It drops down to -1. Okay, and there's some cool applications for this. Hopefully I could show you a few later this year for the -1. I'm gonna bring it back, I'm gonna set it 0. The other point I wanted to make out, or point out, I don't want to make out with that point, I want to point it out, is right here. You see these 2 little set screws? Those bottom here and here. You do not need to calibrate this. This is calibrated at the factory at perfectly 90. But in eventuality, if you need to dial it in, you can. And there's 2 points of contact now, not just 1, so it is really robust. Oh boy. Oh my God. Chris came up to me earlier a minute and he said, Sedge, I think this might be a long one. I go, I'm looking at the clock right now. It's going to be. I hope everybody's staying in there with me, please. Okay.
You're good.
Okay. Next. Big D, you need to come and get this. I'm going to do this really quick. I'm going to make sure I'm tight and everything. Okay. I want everybody to see this. I got my hand off the trigger. This is the new riving knife right here. And, I'm sorry. It's not a riving knife. This is the new anti-kickback. So this is one of the safest saws on the market. Probably the most powerful with the EC motor, okay, and the 6,800 RPM. But 2, the safest track saw out there. Okay, we have the anti-kickback on the TSC55 KED and the TS55 FEQ. No, that's the riving knife, the new, okay? Now we have the riving knife on this one. So what I'm gonna do is I'll talk about this in just a few minutes, but that is the window, and that doesn't come off anymore. It stays on there, even if I put the outside splinter guard. So I'm gonna set that up. Okay, I'm gonna reset my desk, make sure, because I've been talking. And what I'm gonna do is over here, Big D, make sure you get this. I want to explain the anti-kickback function. I'm not going to make it kickback. You can go online and see all these great things. But I want to show you the lights. So if I go like this and start it up, you see that? It's green. That means I have what? The anti-kickback function being used while I'm cutting. Right here, look, I'm going to hit it and turn it off. See how, oopsie. Okay, see how it's orange? That means it's off. So say I'm using it off the track and that little piece, that little anti-kickback knife, that it rides on the track. And what if I'm cutting something off of the track and it falls into a hole, a knot or something, okay? I just want to turn it off. I don't want to stop the saw in the middle of a cut, so I turn it off. But I'm aware that I have it off because I see that orange. Now here's the one I had to wrap my head around, but I finally figured it out. I'm gonna move the saw back here. Hopefully you can see this, Big D. And I know that that anti-kickback, if I take it, and I'm just gonna eyeball it, is off of the guide rail. Okay, so watch, I'm gonna start it, and you're gonna see it blinking orange. You see that? That means it is not engaged. It has to be on the track. So that's what, if you see it blinking orange, once it gets on the track, you'll engage it again. Okay, so I'm just gonna do what I always do. I just verify, and let's make a cut. Now, I'm not going to push this too fast. Please stop. We're gonna have this next week at the show in Providence, Rhode Island. Please come by so you can see this, because this is, actually this saw is what I'm shipping to JLC. Okay. You can feel the power in this saw. It is absolutely amazing. And the quality of cut, like any Festool track saw, is superb. Okay, more little things. I'm gonna undo the power on this one so you can see some cool stuff. Chris, can you shoot this way with it? I want you to see the motor? And when I said this whole housing has been redesigned, the motor no longer protrudes over here. So I think I showed in one of the
Festool Lives that this motor can get away if I have a clamp here. So that has totally been redesigned. The clamp no longer gets in the way. Okay, see how that hangs over there? That could, see, it goes further than the rail. It's perfect. Okay. Now this is really cool because I don't know if, well, there's a lot of people out there who probably never changed a blade. Let's change a blade because this makes a huge difference. Okay? When you're changing a blade, make sure it's unplugged. You know, when I say fast fix, that means I got a blade change happening. There's a 5mm hex key right here. It locks the arbor down, okay? And it locks the arbor. I'm gonna move that up so you can see it. And do you notice something? It's sitting flat. Look at the handle here. It's sitting completely flat. It's not rotating on you when you're doing it. It is really cool design. So I would imagine a bunch of you mentioned that, and our engineer said, you know what? When we redesign or do a TS60, we're gonna make sure we design it right. Okay, yeah, we do listen to you. So there's the 5mm hex. And this, I'm just gonna pop it up so you can see the new flange nut. And it's actually geared. Look in here, Chris, see it? Big D, you got that? Yep. Okay, it's really nice. The new sustainer saw is the same thing. Okay, it's geared like that. When you put it in, back in the blade, you just take it like this and it finds itself. It's just such a sweet design. Okay, now, let's talk about plunge cutting, because I thought this was a great upgrade to the whole saw. It's not a whole saw, it's the overall whole saw. Okay, I'm gonna put it back here. We've always had this on our saws. I've called it out 100 times on Festool Live. Chris, you're good, I'll bring it over. We know what these lines right here on the side are, right? When this saw is in a full plunge depth, this is the starting point and that's the exit point, okay, for the saw, right? Okay, look, we'll do it again, watch. I'll plunge it right there. That, and that's how I line up my saw to do a plunge cut. I don't know what episode it was, but we did a whole plunge cutting episode. Maybe we'll do it again this summer, who knows? Right here are the same lines, right here, but also right here on that little plastic piece. But, Big D, zoom in, they're also right here on the back of the housing. So you can set this up in so many different configurations for plunge cutting. We've taken those. By the way, it has to be in a full plunge position for these lines here on the back of the housing and the front of the housing for it to line up, but it lines up absolutely perfect. And don't forget, when you're plunge cutting, you make sure you use the limit stop that I probably tossed somewhere. Okay? But we'll go over that again. It's about time I refresh the plunge cutting segments on live. Whew. Hang on one second, let me check my notes. Dust port, this is the one I always forget. Okay? Yeah, the cord, you see how I wrap it up around my arm and everything when I do it? But what if I don't want to do that? Look right here. There's a little cord hook right there. It gets it out of its way. Huh. You didn't know that, Big D, did you? No. That was my idea. I'm just kidding. Okay, so let's change a blade. Oh, I did change a blade. Okay, and you know about the blades. Well, hey, Minnie, I'm making good time now. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay. Wow, I am doing pretty good. Hey, did you guys get all that math? Did that math come across pretty good on the depth of cut? Because that's what everybody wants to know. What's the depth of cut, right? The 55 versus now the 60 versus the 75.
How would you compare the power from the 60 to the 75?
Whoa, that's a good question, Big D. Boy, that's tough because the 75 has that 2 3/4 depth of cut, right? And you get quite a bit more on an angle for 45. The power's phenomenal, but it doesn't have an EC motor. And I think that's what makes the difference. So if I'm too personal, I haven't done any tests. They're probably out there at Festool corporate. It's probably, I feel it has more power, the 60. It's just wonderful. But am I always going to have a 75 at home in here? Of course, because sometimes I need that extra depth of cut. Okay? I thought it was going to be a lot larger when I heard of TS60 was coming. but it doesn't seem any heavier than a 55. So there we go. Okay. Let's go over here. I'm going to talk about some cross cutting. Someone asked me, is this the one all bead all? And yeah, oh God, that's a tough question because I do need my 75 here and there for that depth of cut, especially waterfall these days. Okay, I have so much, I'm so cramped in here. Okay, now, I think we did an innovation on accessories a few episodes ago. No, that was tools. The original innovation was on accessories. You guys commented, you text me, you loved them. But when I was setting this up today, I thought, you know what? I've seen 3 different styles of outside splinter guides. Okay, this was the original. Okay, we still sell this because this is the one that goes on the 75. I'll grab it right here so you can see Chris and Derek. Okay, and then you've got a knob that locks it in. And that's a huge difference between our track saw and a lot of track saws out there. We can have splinter free, like everybody gets splinter free, or close to, but also we have it on the outside as well. Then we came up with this. This lives in the 55, and all the 55s, REQs, FEQs, and both the 2 cordless track saws. And that lived up inside the track saw. It still does, right here. But you have to take out that little clear window to put this in. And I usually have this just living on the saw all the time. Now this one's a little bit different, but you do get an outside cut with it. And when you put it in, remember, you push this all the way up. This goes and hooks on the outside like this and slides in, and you get a nice outside cut as well. Okay, remember when you put this on, you push it down to the ground like this, and you're ready to go. Okay? Let's make a cut, because this is one of the reasons you buy a track saw from Festool. Okay, yeah, we have an MFT system, a great crosscut sled with repeatability, an angle, unit, everything like that. Just about every single accessory in the Festool system works with a TS60. There's a couple of items that change, like the outside splinter guard, the dust, because it's a little bit wider in here, the dust guard or false joint, and also it has a new rip fence. I'm not going to get into that. I'll go into that later this year. Okay, let me just double check and set the depth. I got everything set. This is something I always do. I make sure I check everything because I talk too much. That's what no, Big D goes, no. Oh yeah. So I got that on there. Let's make a cut. Okay. Now, this is why I personally bought a track saw in 2003, I think it was. Look at this cut. Look at that cut, splinter free. And look at the outside cut, splinter free. Oh, sorry, Chris. Wow. So there you go. That's why a track saw, that's why it's not just the blade, it's just not saw, it's this piece of plastic right here. It's a system, it works. Oh, I just love this. I just love this. Okay, so, I didn't break out the saw. You guys know we have a carpentry saw, don't you? You guys know it's called the HK and the HKC, and it works with this really cool rail. Okay, and it slides on. You know what? This is live. I'm going over here to get one so you can see it. Whoop, 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 whoop. Hey, yes, I know where everything in this wall is. Okay. But let me move this. Okay, so this is the HK saw. The blade lives below. Yes, you can still plunge cut with it, okay, with this tab like this, okay? Yes, there's a Festool Live on the HK saw. It goes on the rail like this, okay, and makes an incredible cross-cutting carpentry saw, okay? The question came up, when we came out with this saw and this track, can the TS track saw work on this? Because the confusion was, yes, this can work on the track. So, everybody, drum roll, please. Guess what? Let's come in here, cameraman. Look at this. I'm going to take this off. Okay. We have, look, this works with the FSK system as well, which is so daggone nice. So you just got to be careful when you're using this, because this doesn't lock down. You got to make sure you have a long enough rail. I'm going to use the 420 rail. I'm going to cut this because when the HK came out, this left a little nib down here. This is a full 2 inches. Okay, but it left a little nib. This is a TJI. This is a very common joist here in North America. So when I put this on, okay, and you're gonna notice with the FSK rail, you have 2 points of contact, okay, and then you have this movable point right here if you need to get some angles. But all you carpenters out there, this saw works like a gem. Okay, and you have a track saw for your finer work. And now I'm just going to take it, bring it in, and remember, you got to make sure you have plenty of rail in front of this. So I'm going to give myself a little depth here. And there you go. It now cuts fully through a TJI. But also, one of the other things with the HK was beveled goods on what we call an 1.5 inch stock. So you can actually tilt this and you can cut the bevel with the FSK. Okay, because on the HK you were leaving a little nib if you didn't put firm pressure down on it. I always was getting it, but I put firm pressure down on the saw. And that was one of the things where it did leave a little bit on there. No longer, you have the TS60 to do so. All right, let me see. Let me just see. I'm going to look around to see if I've covered everything. It works with the FSK. I think that's what Gil liked the most. It works with the FSK. I'm just looking at everything, everybody. And by the way, to release it from this saw, come in here, cameraman. Chris, look, you got to push this back, and it just slides off, and you can put it right back on your track. I was like, oh my God, did I get another TS60 already? So there you go. You have the best track saw on the market. The most powerful, the most accurate, the most splinter-free. It works with the parallel guides. It works with everything in the system. It works with the new rail cutting kit. And it works with our FSK rail. I truly want to applaud our engineers in Europe and around the world in the TTS system for producing this saw. Thank you so much, because this thing is amazing. So what's the same on the saws? Okay, we have a TSV60 here, okay, and the TS60 here. Now I'm going to be doing a lot of ripping with the 60 and then the V. But what's the same? Just about everything. Same depth of cut. You have 62 millimeters when it's on the rail. You have what I think is fantastic. You have a 1.8 millimeter cutting blade kerf. It's 168 millimeter. I'll go over that in a few minutes. But you combine that with the brushless motor and the power. Oh, wait a minute. It's 6,800 RPM. It's faster. People are freaking out on the 60 and now the TSV60, and the reason they're saying, well, it's the same on 3/4, but then take it like my buddy Garrett did. I know he's listening. He said, you know, I was doing great with my 55, but man, when I took that 60 home and was ripping thick material like countertop, he goes, it's night and day. So that's why we have that more power in there. Okay, so
Over here, Chris. Okay, so another thing that's same between the saws and another saw is the 168 millimeter blade. Okay, and I want to define this a little, okay? It works with the V, the regular 60, but also the sustainer saw. So that is a great series of blades, and we have them for what? Wood, laminate, and we have them for aluminum, and we also have them for, I always say hardy board, but it's cap composite material, cementitious material. Okay, so those blades are interchangeable. That's what's the same. I'm just gonna go over my notes really quick. Chris, don't let anybody see. Oh, duh, it's a safe saw, right? It has anti-kickback built in. And I went through all of that, and it's the same on the TS V60 than the TS60. Big D, we should have had a counter how many times I say those numbers. I think we're up to 5 or 6 now. Whew, okay, woo, all right. What's different? And I want to show you in a minute. I'm just going to check something here. Yeah, we're good. Oh, duh. That's my tip later today. I'll go over on this saw, the TSV. It's the base, right? Over here is the regular groove to fit on the FS rails. And it's on the TS60. I covered this, but I just want to make sure it's the same on this one. The base is a little bit longer, and you'll realize that in a moment. And you also have this T groove right here. And where that works, and I'm going to make a suggestion. If you have an FSK rail that works with your HK55, okay, it'll work on here. Get the longer one because look at the difference here. It's a much longer saw. And there's a reason, and I'll show you that momentarily. So once again, this is a saw that weighs, sorry about that everybody, weighs a little bit more, but you can use it on the job site, wherever, with our carpentry saws, and you need that little extra depth of cut. It's fantastic. You saw me with a TS60. I was cutting TJIs with it. Works wonderful. Now, there's something else on both saws, and I forgot to talk about this when I went over the TS60, that I just love, okay? Chris, hopefully we can get this. I'm gonna do it with the TS60 first. If we can come behind here, Chris, and I'm gonna pull it out here, on the sole or the base of the saw, I didn't go into this recess here. See it right here? When you are making sure it is adjusted to the rail, check it out. You can get your fingers in here. It's recessed. And I'll tell you what, that's Festool engineering, listening to the customers, because that for me, I have 10 thumbs, and that was tough to get in there on the regular track saws, so I'd always tilt the saw to access that back cam. So it's a lot easier. Good. And that's on both saws. Whew. Okay. Next, what's different? I mentioned there's a weight difference. I got it right here. The TS60 is 10.5 pounds or 10.5 pounds. The TSV60 is 13.2 pounds. Big deal? Well, not really. But yes, because it's important because it has an extra motor. That's the big difference. And when there's an extra motor, that means there's another blade. And I'm going to go that. I'm going to change the scoring blade for you later. But I want to mention it's right here. And I'm going to go through all these green buttons here today. And we're going to use this one and this one a lot next week, because I'm going to show you how to plunge cut absolutely splinter-free or chip-free in melamine. And when I say that, this is what I needed to do this week. I wanted to make sure you saw this, because this saw, the TS60, we're gonna rip right now, we're gonna make a cut. And you have to see this, because when we were making cuts and training on this, I was like, you know what? That's kind of flawless, the cut with the TS60, right? Why, and I'm going to tell you right now, why would I need a TSV? And I think that's what the big thing is that people need to know. So I'm going to clamp it. I'm clamping this melamine. Chris, if you come in here, look how thin that is. I swear to God, that melamine coat gets thinner every year. I think it was spray painted on. Right now, It's hardwired, so once again, I'm gonna make sure, I think I tightened this one right. I'm gonna go through 3 rails. And when I go through 3 rails, this is the one for my TS60. Okay, and then I'm gonna have a setup rail, and then I'm gonna have my final rail, because I need to explain that. All right, so let's plug her in, and let's get going. How we doing on time, Big D? Good?
Good.
Okay, good. Chris, what day is it?
Friday.
Okay. I got the depth set, and you remember, on the same on both of them. I got the dual cursor, and I also got the dual scale. So if I set this FS, that's incorporated in the 5mm rail. So I'm going to set it at 25. Just take it like this, and I'm going to make a cut. Remember, when you're cutting with a track saw, all track saws, make sure you go like this first, so you're not going into the material when it's running. Okay, and I'm just going to, remember, stand behind it like this. Bring it up full speed. Okay, so I'm gonna make a cut with a 60. I'm gonna take that out of here. Wrap it up real quick. Pull that out so we can look at the cut and get it out of the way. Because I need to go through some cool calibrations with the TSV60. Okay, now, Chris, I want you to come in here. Okay, and that's, for me, looking at it, and even Inspector Clouseau, and looking at it, it looks pretty good. Until you take a piece of edge banding that you're gonna take it, and hopefully Chris can see this, but you see how it starts to pop in there? Ever so slightly, look at that. You see the chip out? Big D, can you see that? The little chip out in there? This needs to be perfect, right? Look, Chris, come down here. Here it is. Look, I get ever so slight chip out in there. Okay? But that may be good for some people. But well, some people will say good enough. When it can't be just good enough, it has to be perfect. That's when you break out the TSV60. Okay, wait till you see what happens and that pops. Let's take the TSC, oh my God, let me get this out of here. Okay, so that's done. Okay, Chris, I'm gonna go over the saw, but I want everybody to understand this, okay? The blade you should use with the scoring blade, I have them next to each other. The blade that comes with it, and the one for what? HPL. Do you know what HPL is? High performance laminate. It's the countertop material, you know, for the vanities or whatever in kitchens, you know, I call it by brand names, Wilson Art, Formica, you know, all those brand names, okay? You know how hard that is, and I'm leading up to something in a few minutes, okay? So when you need perfection, let's grab this. I'm gonna show you how to get perfection. Oh, let's do it with this. Because I have my TSV already set up, and I want to show you that. Let's bring it in. Next week, you will see how precise this saw can be. Every time I cut with this, and I was telling Brent this morning, I am totally 100% taking myself back to 2003 when I cut with my first track saw. I could not believe how clean a cut was. This is absolute perfection. It really is. And there's a reason for it. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to stop the saw and show you. Okay? In the front here, we have a secondary blade. I'm going to put my splinter guard down. And I'm just going to, I have it all set, but you see that coming out? And I'm just going to go like this. And you'll see there's one tooth and it's diamond. That's rotating this way, and this blade, the cutting blade, is rotating that way. So what we're gonna do is I'll show you what happens with this. I always take my saw down because I don't want to start my scoring blade in there. Oh, you know what's really neat? Chris, I have to plug it in. Okay, good. All right, here we go. He's supposed to pay attention. Now, I'm gonna come over here really quick. Make sure my cams are all set on this. And then, everybody, I wanna show you the cut first, and then come back and show you all the little nuances to setting that scoring blade.
Okay, here we go. Just, you gotta be patient with me here. Okay, so you see what's happening is I'm scoring, and look at the splinter guard. And you're gonna see this in the end. See how that splinter guard is right on there? I am scoring it, and then I'm cutting it. That real thin material. Now I'm cutting melamine, it's no big deal, but if I put that red blade in there and I'm cutting, it's a triple chip grind, and I'm cutting countertops, that's the beauty of that 62 millimeter. You're gonna see what you're gonna get, especially if I'm putting another piece of, oh my goodness. This gives me chills. I was in here all day yesterday, most of Wednesday, cutting with this, and I cannot believe. Look at that cut, everybody. It's absolutely flawless, okay? And that's when you can really tell. If I have time, I'll cut another really thin top coat of something, and you can see how flawless that cut is. All right, so let's set this one over here, and let's do some setup, and I can go over some stats with you on this. Okay, so here's my setup rail, and you're gonna notice when I use the setup rail. So what'll happen is you'll take your regular rail with the TSV, and you'll set it up, and then you're gonna replace the spindle guard. Okay, if you have a rail already. And it's important to know this, because when you set it up, somebody will say, well, you really don't need the splinter guard perfect to the rail. And you're gonna see as I cut, it's gonna be offset a little. And what happens is, as you adjust it, what if I want to line that up? And you'll see next week, when I line it up to do plunge cutting, how perfect you can get with this. I keep saying flawless, but it is. All right, so I'm going to take this in like this, and always, and I'm going to step through all of this. I have it written down. Clamp your rail. And when you set this up, take it in like this. This is how I was taught in my training a year ago. Okay, good. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this and, number 2, adjust the cams. Big D, we flowing good with this? So there's no lateral tolerance. Now, whenever I tell people to set this up, I used to see people go like this, and listen. Oh, there's movement. No, you have to grab the sole. So up here, you have your regular EC motor here. Right here, you have another motor. Okay, I'll show you all of these green buttons in a minute. Okay, now, the next thing I'm gonna do is this button right here, or this lever. I'm going to do what? What that does is, if we come over here, Chris, see that? That's the blade, that's the scoring blade. That's a diamond tip. That's a diamond coated tip. Okay, I will go over the longevity of that in a moment. And this one's not even gonna cut. See how I bring it over? It won't cut. So to set it up precisely, that tip is conical, like this. And you wanna set it up, and Brent, Garrett, and I have a little technique of doing this, and I'm gonna step in here to show you. This is the knob for depth, see it? You have a plus and minus. Okay, good. That's important. Now, see how I marked it right there? And these are clicks. In the manuals, they call them catches, but you see the clicks right here? Minnie, could you do me a big favor? Leave most of that and do it on.
Absolutely, I'm going on the back.
Whew, because I can't remember all these numbers these days. Okay, so, Minnie, you're the best. So when I do this, each click, that's why I have it over here. Each click is 0.1 millimeter. So that is really fine, isn't it? It's 1/256th in imperial. So if you do this, a full revolution is 1.3 millimeters. You don't have to cut deep with this, because you're just scoring that ever so slightly. Okay? So as blades wear, you can adjust it for the curve. You only gotta set it up once. It's not difficult. I can do it. Okay, so let me get a chair here. I mean a stool, so we can get in depth with this. And I'm going to take it,
And you know what I'm gonna do, Chris? I'm gonna unplug it. Okay, because what I wanna do is I wanna zero it out. And I'm gonna go back and forth. Now, I'm going to go like this, and I'm gonna take it. Okay, when I say zero it out, see how it's hitting? When I have it down, I'm going to take this. And I know I'm gonna take it a few clicks like this, because I know how many clicks I gotta do when it's perfectly zero. You see it right here? Okay, good. Now come back over here, my main man, and you're gonna see how I'm rotating it. Okay, I know that's zeroed out, and here's how I can tell, watch. Mr. Post-it note. I'm just gonna take a Post-it note so you can see, don't use the sticky side, everybody, but I'm gonna take that and see right there? See how that's complete? Is that a good, can you get that shot, Chris? See how I can do that? That's zeroed out, and it's not cutting. Follow? Okay, so what we've decided or figured out is 0.1 is each click. So 3 clicks down breaks the coat just right, and you'll see in a moment. So I'm gonna take it like this, watch, and I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3. Let's look what happens. Now, if you are cutting with the saw, and I've experienced this, and at the end of the cut you have a little chamfer, you should have gone a click deeper. Follow? Good. So let's come in here, I'm gonna plug it back in, and I do this just for a visual, because I also wanna show you something. It's really weird because I had to take my caliper and measure the boards yesterday, and I was all over the place. You know things aren't, they're undulating, right? So you always got to double check that. So I'm going to come in here. And just verify that, and I like that. So that's spinning like this. Okay, so that looks good to me, right? Okay, so let's disengage this. Is that the right word, Minnie? Disengage?
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. So the first thing you do, the way I've been doing it, is set the depth of the scoring blade first, so you're just breaking the coat, okay? And you'll get that perfect cut. But there's another thing we gotta do, is we gotta adjust, and I'm going to take it out of adjustment right now. And it's this part right here. See it right here? You have an R and an L. And what this is for is the lateral adjustment. Boy, did I get confused setting this up yesterday, okay? Because you wanna make sure, I thought the whole thing was adjusting, and it isn't. It's the front blade going left and right. And it's done for you because you have this little symbol here. Chris, let me get it. If I'm gonna go left, I'm going toward the rail. If I'm going right, I'm going out, okay? In other words, this sounds funny. You have to experience it yourself, because I get all turned around sometimes, not just left and right, and I did yesterday, and I thought, there's something wrong when I saw it. It wasn't. I had to figure out which blade's moving. And that's, of course, this is a scoring blade. So I'm gonna come in here, and I'm going to, now, you remember what I told you? 1.3 is a full revolution, 0.1 millimeter. This one has to be, it's amazing how fine the adjustment. I've never seen anything on Festool this fine an adjustment. Check it out. I'm looking over here. There's 20 clicks on it, okay? Each click is 0.025 millimeters. Okay, so the 1.3 on the depth, or the 0.1 on the depth, that's very fine. The 0.025 is very, very, very fine, okay? A full revolution is only 0.5 millimeter. It's incredible. And you can dial this in absolutely precisely. So let me take it out of whack here, and I want you to see this, because I'm moving that scoring. I'm gonna take it way out of whack. And I want you to see what happens and what it looks like. And that is tough, but I've taken a scoring blade, and Big D, I'm gonna take it out some more because I don't think you can truly see it, can you? Oh, you can? You kinda?
Yeah.
Yep, so that's not gonna, that's not gonna work, right? So I wanna bring it back in, okay? And let me see if I can dial it in. Okay, let's see what this is. And I'm gonna tell you. Okay.
Wow.
If it is not right, each click, take it another 0.25. But to me, I think that's perfect. Does it look perfect on there? To me, it does. Now, I had this out yesterday. Even though I got new specs, I was going like this. The telltale sign is if you have any chip out, make sure, don't get a microscope, really dial it in. Guess what? It's dialed in. When do you have to dial it in again? If you go to HPL blade or your scoring blade does. Okay, you ready for this? This is funny. Let me just look to see if I've covered it. We got the depth.
Yep.
Okay. We have the lateral back and forth. Okay. You know what those buttons are for. Okay. Now, next week, I showed you what this is. This disengages what?
Blade.
The blade, the big blade. What if I want to do what? See how it's moving? See this? What if I want to not use the scoring blade? There's two reasons. Plunge cutting, and you'll see next week. I'll get you to wrap your head around it. But the other one is, what did I recommend for these guys when you use the scoring blade? The blade that comes with it and the HPL blade, right? But what if you want to cut aluminum with it, all right? Or do some heavy ripping. Like, and this is the blade I had on what? The CSC last week. That was my ripping blade. So you can use it for that, all the blades, but it was designed for what? Getting that perfect cut on melamine or whatever, HPL. So when you cannot have any chip out. It's absolutely perfect. And you know what? We have these out there. This is phenomenal because look, this is a plunge cut saw, regular plunge cut. Some people that's good enough, but I would say that had an old Splinter gad on it. This is the one with the TS60. And there's your perfection, right? The TSV60. When just good enough is not good enough. And hopefully I said that right. Okay. Whew, I couldn't wait for this saw to come out. I was so excited. All right, now I'm going to show you, I changed the blade on the TS60, but I'm going to show you how to change the scoring blade because I really want to talk about the scoring blade. Right, so what's the first thing you do, guys? Yes, 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 yes. And I'm going to get it so we can all see this. And then I'll make another cut with this momentarily. Okay, so let's look at it. I'm going to take this off for now. Let me get, oh, there it is, Sedge. There we go. Okay, now I want to get in the right position. I was doing this yesterday. You know, that's the nice thing about the 60 and the V, the TS60 and the TSV60, is it's designed so when you lay it like this, it's easier to change the blade. Okay, green button, that's your ABBA lock, right? Oh, hang on. That's your ABBA lock. So when I push it down, you got to find the hole there to lock the ABBA, right? Okay, so like all saws, here's the 5mm stored right on board hex key to change this blade when you put it in fast fix, right? This one, I'll put it in fast fix. Whoopsie, it's got to be a little bit further down. Okay, see how it's locked in, right? I could change this blade if I want, but this ABBA doesn't lock because it's on a small motor. That's why I showed you that ABBA lock. This is a 4mm wrench. Oh, hang on a second. I'm not going to go too fast. It's stored right here. See that? Beautiful. Boy, I just looked at the time. We're cranking, huh? Okay, now, this blade's a little bit different. When I get the ABBA hole in there and the lock is in there, it is a what? A righty-loosey, okay? And a lefty-tighty because it's spinning in the opposite direction. You didn't know that, did you, Big D? Okay, I'm gonna take it off, and let's talk about this blade. That is a diamond tip on there, okay? And I said, okay, how long is that gonna last? Especially when I hear it's in that wicked hard countertop material, right? HPL. I just call it Formica. I'm an old guy. Okay, I wrote this down because I was looking at a PowerPoint from Germany, and I went, that doesn't make sense. So I really cranked the numbers on this. Okay, it said after 1,500 meters, we stopped the test and the blade was still sharp. Okay, the testing group did this. That's 1.5 kilometers. And it was still sharp, even in the HPL. Okay, so let's take it to North America. This is wicked cool because I love doing this. It's 1,500 meters is 4,921 feet, or 0.93 miles. It's almost a mile of HPL. You know how hard that stuff is. And that blade, when we stopped the testing, because it was almost like fruitless, right? Guess what? That was still wicked sharp. Okay, so there you go. To put it back in, I just slip it in. And as I do this, like all our track saws, what do we have here? We have, oopsie, that's gonna be the fun one, isn't it? That's why we like live. Okay. Hey, Mo! Okay. So when putting this back on, I put the writing out. See the writing on there? I put it out because I faced the teeth together because of the revolution. What revolution is that? Okay, and I'm gonna put it in there, aim it in there, and guess what? It's a lefty tighty. So you turn it this way, and I'll hit the arbor lock, and I'm gonna just snug it. I'm not gonna crank it, and there we go. So there's that scoring blade. Yes, you can get a replacement. Maybe you hit a rock or something in the melamine or something and you chip it. I don't know. Okay, but it lasts, it's long wearing, and it's phenomenal. Whew. All right. I think I've covered quite a bit so far today. What I wanted to do is I have it all set up here, right? I'm still ready to rock and roll. I'm gonna plug it back in. I'm gonna finish this cut, and then I wanna take it to the next step, because I got a lot set up in here, and this kind of gets me. I am gonna take this and I'm gonna set it at 22.5 degrees. Okay, so I'm just gonna take it. I said this on the TS60 when we were on episode 131. These new knobs right here, I don't know what it is about them. They're more ergonomic for me, and they're so much nicer. I'm gonna take it like this, and I'm going to tilt her. Hello, Sedge. Let's tilt her. There we go. And I'm gonna take it to what? There's my cursor. I'm gonna take it to 22.5. I'm gonna tighten it up. And I'm gonna make the, oops. Yeah, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make the rip first. Sorry, guys. When I was doing this yesterday, I'd already ripped it. The power in here is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Now I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna reset it. Whew. Boy. Sometimes I think I set up too much, but it's okay. I wanna cover a lot of this. So you guys gotta, when you get your TSVs here, you know how to make the right cut. Oh, you know what? That's my setup. I'm just gonna take my regular rail because I'm done with my setup. And here is why I replaced the splinter guard. You noticed that it wasn't right on a witness mark. But here's the thing. If it doesn't have to be right on your witness mark, you don't need it, right? Because the splinter guard is what's holding it down on all our track saws. Here we're scoring it and cutting it at the same time. But what if you need that absolutely perfect? And I pre-cut this. yesterday, and you'll see I put a new splinter guard on this one about a month ago when I was messing with this, and you'll see how it cuts right to the line. So what if I had to do this? Watch. I make a mark here, and I make a mark here, and I line it up precisely. It will cut right there. That's the beauty of the Festool track saw system. Chris, I'm going to step around you. Man, it's nice now we don't have cords, huh? Yeah. We just introduced Chris to battery technology. Okay, and one more clamp right over here. And we're gonna line it up precisely. There we go. We got everything set, but now we're gonna take it a step further. Let's get her right here at 22.5. This is a cut that you need for shelving sometimes. And I'm gonna come back and tighten this knob. And let's make the cut. Now, the reason I wanted to do this today is I always put my hand on the base here. Okay, that way there it doesn't tip on me. I'm gonna check my saw and everything, and now let's look at the cut. Now, my friends, if you have ever done this on a table saw, regular track saw, I have gotten cuts like this, but on a very, very, very expensive slider that had a scoring blade. And sometimes those scoring blades are tough to align on some of those bigger saws. Here, you saw how easy it was, right? Look at this cut. Now, when you do this, safety, safety, safety. Don't go, hey, look at that cut, because guess what will happen? You'll actually cut your finger. Oh man, I hope this comes through, Chris. Let's look, 0.0 splinter. Look at that. It's absolutely perfect. See that? Okay? It is amazing the quality of cut you get. Next week, we'll do some plunge cutting with it. Trying to think if I've covered everything I needed to. I'm going in my brain right now. I have this set up. We were cross-cutting yesterday on this. I took the saw, brought it over here, and made a cut on here. And I've used this material. I gotta be really careful because you can cut yourself on that, but look at that quality of cut, cross-cutting that. It's amazing. You know what? I'm gonna cut with it. Just so you folks can see this out there, and you can, I'm just gonna take it. I got my secondary saw set up there, and I got a really cool visual for this. Let me just switch. Yes, it is hardwired, and we needed that because we needed the flow of energy to it versus because of the gauge of the cord and the power needed for this. Okay, let's see if I can get this over here, just like this. I got it all set up. I don't want to cut through my table, but I got it all set up. Got to make sure I'm on. And I don't want to cut through my table, so I'm going to work my depth of cut here. We'll plug it into this CT over here. Yes, sir. And let's look what we got. So I'm going to get in here. Minnie, how we doing?
Good.
We got a few people watching?
We got more than you.
All right. I love how she says that. Okay. One of the techniques I like to do is I like to hold my hand up here. And the other thing I like, everybody, is this is actually a great handhold. The motor casing, I like it. So, once again, I'm going to make sure my scoring blade, and look, I'm going to push this down. So the way I have it set up, come in here, Chris. You got to remember, it's both sides of the cut. Look at this cut. Look at it. It's perfect. If I need a little more perfection on it, I would put the outside splinter guard, but I find it's not necessary. Look at the outside cut, everybody. Look at that. And look, I can't tell you how thin that black top coat is on that. It's amazing. All right. I think I've covered everything, Chris. I think I got it, right? I always do this, you know I do. because I want to make sure I covered everything for you folks at home, and I did. Now, I told you and I showed you the lines. You have plunge cutting lines, and also warm you up for next week. On the TSV, you have plunge cutting lines, okay? The normal ones, entrance and exit here. Oh, sorry, Chris.
Sorry.
We also have them on the back side, okay? But we need them if we're plunge cutting with what? The scoring blade. And we have that here and here. So next week, we'll do some plunge cutting with it, and we'll show you how to stop and start it precisely. Whew! All right.